live in the dungeon. This is the Dream Warrior Review. I'm Kurt Thomas.
I'm Strawn.
And this is episode 101 as we continue our discussion concerning A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master.
If I had to sit down and watch a movie, if I'm having a bad day and I want to watch a movie that I don't really have to think about, but that is super fun and I enjoy and that makes me feel good, I think I'm going to sit down and watch A Nightmare on Elm Street 4 because for me, it's fantastical. It's colorful. It's lively. It makes you energized.
It's like hanging out with your friend that doesn't require anything of you. Not your friend that really, starts to think about, worldly stuff and things like that. It's like hanging out with a friend that just, sits on the other side of the sofa and occasionally looks at you and goes, yeah.
I agree. I have to say, so Dream Master is the film that, when I'm sick, it's so funny. It's so weird. I don't know if the two correlate together, but I get sick a lot. So when I'm recovering from my sickness, I always want to order pizza and watch Dream Master. And that's what that's what my dad used to do when I was little. And so we used to order pizza and watch Dream Master right when I would be getting better from a cold.
Great.
And so now I always know I'm getting better when I'm I'm craving a pizza and watching Dream Master. And it's you literally just, like you said, you just don't think. You just watch it. It's not
vegetarian meatballs on your pizza, Paige, because watching Dream Master, I was for a period of time, and even still to this day, I was can I have meatballs on my pizza, please? And I would dig in and be little meatballs.
Sometimes I do, but I just actually found vegetarian pepperoni. So now I'm I can't wait to put it on a pizza and watch Dream Master.
I think Danny Hassel said that it's a popcorn movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's popcorn.
And Alice,
I don't know what a popcorn movie is, but
there's pizza in it. It's a very food-centric movie.
Yes.
There's a lot of food in it.
It is. It is a food. Sorry.
Yeah, it is. Movie for foodies.
The Crave-In.
The Crave-In.
The pizza, the meatballs. God. Alice is her giant soda with her popcorn.
Right, the soda and the popcorn spilling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Popping pills like popcorn. You got the salad at the very beginning. What the hell is he, a rabbit?
Yeah.
Lots of food. Lots of food going on.
Wow.
Come to think of it, part 5 was the same way.
Diandra?
They were stuffing Greta.
Are you hungry? I'm just asking.
Well, Paige started talking about pizza, and I was like,
boy,
pizza.
That sounds good.
Freddie's face, pizza. Maybe a little too far.
Symbolism. Maybe that's why I always craved pizza when watching it, because his face looks like a pizza.
Wow.
So what would you guys say is hands down your favorite scene in Dream Master? And the room goes
wow.
I have 2 favorites.
Yeah, I have so many favorites. I really do.
Actually 3. See, it's hard to narrow down.
You can say all 3.
Go for it.
Yeah, everybody give their 3 favorite scenes.
Okay,
right?
3.
Okay.
Oh,
and then
Jesus.
we'll
okay, 2. See, now I get narrowed down 2. I love the junkyard. I love
that's close to your heart because you basically built it, right?
Well, I did build it, but I mean, I just the look of it, the look of everything, in the dog pissing.
Yeah,
I love the dog pissing scene, and the look of everything, and I still to this day, I think one of my favorite shots, and this is gonna be funny, but it's the dog running away because the dog knows better than all humans.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm done with this.
Well, if you had flaming urine, wouldn't you be running away too?
Hey, you
I
know
think
what?
I've got a bladder infection.
Right, I'd be trying to find a doctor, and I think that
Dr. Kruger.
And let's see, another favorite scene. Oh, I like Andra sitting up in the casket. I really do.
Hello, babe.
Hello, babe. I just love that scene, and as far as the third goes, the very end with tearing Freddy, the tearing Freddy's face apart is amazing. Yeah, that's mine.
Love it.
Okay, I put mine in 3 categories. Kind of.
Okay.
Oh, I
Oh.
So okay, I'll just get my favorite death out of the way.
Okay.
And that was the waterbed, Joey in the waterbed.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, what young lad like
Rodney
me? When I was a
Eastman.
young lad, I had pictures of ladies on the wall, and I used to think about them. I'm like, I really wish they could come out of that poster. And I would pray that I could get some magic, and I would try to do magic tricks and get them to come out. Like, hey, come out of the poster, come out of the poster. And then I do my little, I don't know. Anyway, never mind. I
have to
check my
be-
wand around.
I have to be in the same room with you. You know that,
I don't
right?
believe I just said that, but anyway.
All right, Will.
Okay.
But no, I also had a waterbed. A lot of levels, it was kind of terrifying.
Yeah. Okay.
So Kurt was essentially Joey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the character
It's basically
related to
Joey.
the
Yeah.
And I would have reacted the same way.
Yeah, but he hasn't shut up.
I wouldn't have questioned, why is there a woman
How's
in my
this for a
waterbed?
wet dream?
Brother.
Okay, so really the other category is best scenes overall, and I would say my runner-up would be the theater scene when Alice falls into the screen.
Yeah, that is
I
pretty.
just like that
impressive.
effect, and I
Yeah.
like how it looks, and everything's perfect about that.
Yeah.
And then my favorite scene out of all is when he's getting torn up at the end. All those
Yeah.
arms are coming out,
Yeah,
ripping them
that's-
apart. I
it's
just
just-
love that. Look.
It is the best ending of a horror film.
Yes.
I think it,
Yeah.
it rates up there with it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It and The Thing.
I vaguely remember the thing. I need to watch that one probably. It's been a while.
So cool. So
It is. It's so iconic. Like his death in this film.
okay, Diandra, your turn.
Paige, go ahead. Oh,
You want me to go ahead? Okay.
go ahead.
So
I'm still
on
thinking.
My I'll start with my favorite. Like my favorite scene is when Alice falls through the glass in the church and she stands up and the door opens and it's the music and the whip from the door and Freddie says, "Welcome to Wonderland, Alice."
Right.
Like that is my hands down favorite scene in the film. And then I love when he comes up behind her and he says, "I've been guarding my gate for a long time, bitch," and he like throws her. Like just from the start of that scene until the end of it, like I love that whole thing. My second favorite is the junkyard. And the whole junkyard like montage I love, but my favorite thing about the junkyard is when the camera zooms out and you see the like ring of like the lens, but you see the entire shot. It is so it's so creepy, I would say, like to like look at it from that aspect. And you know, Kincaid is screaming, you know, Freddy's back, like that whole thing.
Aren't you glad I won my argument?
Yes.
Yes, because it's amazing. It's amazing. And then my third favorite is the theater scene. Like I love where her shoe falls off and the popcorn falls off, and then it's so
There's so
beautiful.
much to
We
love about
watched
this
it
film.
last week, and just seeing Alice float through the air. Like I had to slow it down to watch it because it was so cool to just watch her like fly and then hit the screen and go into it. It's one of the most
Did
amazing
you ever guess
scenes
how it
in
was done?
any film. I've
Was
seen
she-
a little bit of how it was done, like behind the scenes, about how like the set was literally turned on its
Yes.
side. But I've never seen how like
Mhm.
she was thrown through the air. I've never seen how that was done.
Yeah,
Well.
it's in the book.
It's in the upcoming book.
It's in
Surprise,
the
surprise.
This is like one long promo for this amazing book
it
that we all can't
is.
wait to pick up.
But there's to be commercials in
Exactly.
There is going to be a commercial.
Diandra,
towards
your
the end of
turn.
this. Hello.
All right.
Right now, we should take one
Um,
before we rate it.
I know everybody has already said the end, so I feel like I love the end, but I'm gonna try and shake it up a little bit. So, my top 3 favorite scenes. All right, I'm gonna get the one out of the way that I feel kind of guilty to admit, but I love the junkyard scene. But there is something personal about that. I had a huge crush on Freddie, and I still might. But when he's walking around that junkyard scene and he like makes those little like growls, I was like, so to this day, it still holds a very fond memory to me. He's like I was like, oh, and he just the way he moves through there with the shadows, and he saunters with that Kruger swag
Yes.
that he's got through those shadows. It's great. I mean, that is such a great scene. And when he says that line, Kincaid says, "I'll see you in hell," and he pulls him closer and says, "Tell him Freddie sent ya." I love that. And then my second favorite scene, I would say, is Oh, son of a gun. I'll have to get back to it because, no. It's the very opening. When that New Line logo starts to form and you hear that beginning of Tuesday Night song, it sends chills down my spine because it brings back a lot of memories. And it just is the very beginning of one of my favorite Nightmare movies. And from that point, throughout that very opening dream, and she comes in and she looks at the house and she asks, "Where's Freddy?" And it's that little chalk drawing. I love that opening.
Well, the music brought chills up my spine for
powerful. Yes.
That little girl.
The little girl was awesome.
Little girl.
The whole beginning is awesome.
So that's the same girl from Dream Warriors. That's
Creepy girl.
Yeah.
Was that intentional?
Yes. Yes.
It's a definitive yes.
Yes.
Mix, like everything was intentional.
It's all intentional. There are no accidents in movies.
Between 3 and 4. And then last but not least for me is the scene when Alice gets ready and you've got that rock music in the background and she's clearing everything off and taking down the pictures. It's just such an empowering moment. And there's a girl who actually recreated that scene on YouTube, and it's really awesome. I love to watch it. But it's just such an empowering moment. She just stops after the music dies down. She goes, "Hey." I love it. I love it. Makes me like want to whip off my clothes and like bring them around and be like, yeah.
Wow.
It's my sports moment.
Okay.
You know what's hilarious? I never realized until this year. So Diandra and I were in Charlotte, North Carolina with the Dream Warriors cast. And I had Ken sign one of my posters and he wrote A on it. And I like looked at Diandra and I was like, why did he write this on my poster? And she's like, because that's what he says. This entire time, I always thought he said, "Fuck Kincaid." Like, fuck me. Like, oh shit, wake up, Kincaid. I never realized he said fucking A. And then I correlated it with, oh my God, so Alice took on all the powers of everybody. And so she was taking on the power of Kincaid when she said fucking A. My mind was so blown. I was like, I couldn't let it go. We were there at the convention for a couple of days. I could not let it go. I was like, I can't believe I've gone 20 years thinking this like line was that line. And then in one moment, my whole theory of everything about Nightmare was completely blown. It like blew my mind.
Oh,
wow.
That's good. Yeah, that's as oblivious as I can be. I mean,
Paige, don't feel bad. Like I've shared with you before, it's happened to me recently multiple times. So I've been like, wow.
Yeah.
Whatever. Listen, I can't know everything about Nightmare. I can't know every single thing.
Well, you come pretty damn close. All right.
Yeah,
so
I will say.
You had like a huge hand in the scene when Alice is driving and she goes to ram into Kruger, right? And he's standing there in the roadway.
Out of that.
Yeah.
It was such a bad. We were in the worst meeting ever. The worst meeting ever. The meeting where everybody's brain is just leaked out through their ears, and you've been there for 2 hours, and you're coming up with really stupid ideas. Yeah, we had Freddy in an airplane. We had Freddy literally in an airplane.
Well, listen, we saw how that worked out in Freddy's Dead. I'm so glad you didn't use that in Dream Master.
You know, the great thing about it is you always wonder about your own memory of things. And then Rachel Talalay goes, yeah, we totally did. We had him in an airplane. We were arguing about whether he was the stewardess or he was the co-pilot. We had just crossed the 2-hour line, right? You know, and all the creatives, everybody's in that room. And it's like, the idea was we couldn't leave the room until we had it nailed, you know. And I just said, I thought to myself, I'd just as soon run the truck into nothing. Mm-hmm. And a guy sitting across from me goes, well, what would that look like? I said, it would look like it crashed into its own bumper. How about that? and Peter Chesney just sat right up and went, That's what we're going to do. Meeting adjourned.
You probably gotta go to the bathroom.
We're done.
You're a decorated war hero.
Yes.
Yes. Isn't
After
that the most talked about scene in Nightmare other than Tina's death? Like, and doesn't Robert say that that's actually his favorite scene?
Yeah. He likes
There's only
that
one
a lot.
flaw.
Yeah.
I won't bring it up.
Yeah. But you know what the thing that really works cool about it is a friend of mine, Jerry Olson, and Jerry Olson talks about this. He went out and he did a shot of Freddy that they decided to shoot in reverse, which is the truck hits, it looks like it hits Freddy, right? And the way that they did that is they pulled the camera right up to him and then pulled it away as fast as they possibly could. So that you see him go like this, and it really looks like it's crashing into him at a high speed. And then they undercranked it also as they did it, so you're just crashing into him, and that's a good setup shot. Mm-hmm. To me, I have to say, I appreciate setup shots for gags. You have to understand that if you make a film, and you guys are filmmakers, and you need to understand this, is that a gag by itself needs to be led into. It needs things to set it up. And Nightmare on Elm Street 4 has some of the classic setup pieces. To give you an example, the popcorn and the Coke spilling is very small, but it sets up what's going on, and it's tight. It's very explanatory, and it lets you then move on to a bigger shot that maybe you're not getting the idea and you don't know what's going on unless you're right in there with that little tiny shot to set you up. So you have to remember that when you're doing your shots and you're doing your effects. And it's one of the things that tends to get missed a lot these days, because we're able to do these super crisp, big shots, and everybody thinks, well, yeah, but we can understand what's going on in the big shot. But a lot of times you can't. You don't. You know, a good second unit director and a good effects person will go through the trouble to try and give you setup shots so that you know what's going on.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, we did that on our film, like, not to shamelessly plug our film, but in Don't Fall Asleep, in Don't Fall Asleep, the fan film, there was a scene that we had wrote where it's like Nancy's first dream sequence since being in the mental hospital. Right. And we wanted it to be really big and really grand, where she's inside of the boiler room and the smoke is coming and it's like a huge confrontation. And we talked about it and discussed so many different ways to like have the scene set up, because we wanted something small, something little hint and noticeable right before the big bang, like the holy shit, she's in the pajamas again and she's in the boiler room. Right. And so what we did was I came up with this idea, and like I feel like Diandra, like she got the image of it, and other people like on set were like, I just don't understand like it. And I was like, just trust me, wait until we film it and you'll get it and let's edit it. And she literally comes up out of the bed and she's just going and taking her medicine, and it's the most simplest scene where she just, you know, takes her medicine out of the thing and she goes to the water fountain. She does it. When she ducks down, you just see the hint of Freddy pop up behind her. Right. And she stands up, and then when she like turns and walks away, he's like gone. And she walks through the door, and when she walks through the door, it's like boom, like, oh shit, I'm here. And so I feel like those little elements, like we got inspired by those elements of Nightmare that you did. Like, you know, the thing with a little popcorn piece falling out
of the shadow of the claws, the reflection of Freddy in the barbell. You know, there's a lot of those little pops,
a lot of shadows before you see Freddy.
Shadow foreshadowing,
like Nosferatu.
Exactly. And we did that as like a true homage to, like, you know, Nightmare 3 and Nightmare 4. You know, when those things happen, you know, or the scene at the end of Nightmare 4 where they throw the penny into the fountain, and you just see the ripple effect of Freddy go away.
Yeah.
Like, it's so those little elements in film are so important, and those are after you watch it the first time and then you go back and watch it the second time, you get that uneasiness feeling because you start to see those things. Like, the popcorn falling. Oh my God, what's going to happen. It like heightens your sense, or where they're at the fountain, like, oh, she's going to see his reflection. Like, it changes the way that you look at film. And I totally agree. When you just film like a big gag, but you don't do anything to lead up to it, it's so ineffective.
Right. I would give an example of how far back this goes. Think of Nosferatu, the shadow. The shadow of Nosferatu.
Going up the stairs.
Orson Welles was probably one of the first purveyors of these really, really big shots that are set up with the small shots. He did a lot of that, and you don't want to waste a really big shot without going through the trouble to actually set it up. That's
right.
It's actually got it's a language of its own.
Mm-hmm. Well, it came from silent movies. I mean,
yeah.
Fritz Lang,
the thing that I think that's really cool about Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, one right after the other, is I think that you can find an example of every type of effect, every type of camera effect that's in camera that had been used since the 30s.
Right. Well, 20s, actually.
Yeah, actually could go back to the 20s. And I've said this before, especially on Nightmare on Elm Street 4. If you had been transferred off of the set of just about any film in Hollywood in like 1939 when they had started doing color, there is absolutely nothing. You could have started work that day. You would have understood exactly, everything that was going on. In fact, we were using the same freaking equipment.
I think they would have been freaked out by the music, but
the rock ballads with like the electric guitar, like, would have freaked them out. Yeah,
Billy Idol.
but I'm talking about on set.
Right.
I'm talking about just all the technical side of it, all the equipment that's on the set, everything. And the funny thing is that's not even true today.
Well, do you think, Mick, that's because you guys were given like a shoestring budget, so you had to like make things work, so you had to resort to a time when like they didn't have crazy budgets for film and the things were effective and they just worked? Do you think that's why you, right? Simple. Like the simplicity of it.
The thing is that, and this is hardly ever pointed out, the Nightmare on Elm Streets had a very mechanical background. If you go all the way back to the revolving room that did the blood gag.
Right. Yeah. That was from Fred Astaire.
Right. Exactly. I mean, if we were all looking back in history to find our gags, we were trying to do big effects and avoid doing them in blue screen or green screen because that type of mat work was not well done. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were at the height of that technology and it still wasn't all that good, especially if you were in a low budget situation. So you have to see that we were trying to take all of these mechanical and practical effects and see how far we could go with them, which is kind of why 4, because 4 goes on and develops from the point of view of 3. If you take the two of them together, it's a master class in how to do all those effects and how to do all those opticals and everything that you were doing in there. People don't realize this, but when you're in the Roach Motel and Freddy's looking at you through there, that's shot in real time. And people don't realize that. That's not a blue screen. That's called rear screen projection. And what you did is we took that film in the original location, which was in Glendale. We took him smashing it and him looking inside of the box and pictures of his eye, we just took pictures of him looking in, and then we turned around and we wrapped a screen across the front of the Roach Motel, literally projected that image back onto it. So when the film was developed, it was done.
It must have been pretty rewarding as a creative and as somebody being able to bring these sets to life in that manner, to be able to think about how to bring these nightmares to life and even have a hand in the creation of the story itself, to say, what can we do? How can we make this happen? And then actually bring it to life in real time like that. It must be so rewarding to see those challenges be overcome and those imaginative elements come to life.
I'm going to quote the disaster artist.
All right. With an accent or without an accent?
Hi, Mark.
Well, it's not him. It's the old lady.
Oh, okay.
The old lady that was in it, that was an extra. And they put her through all kinds of torture and all this crap, and something. She showed up the next day, and she's sitting out there, and he goes, "Well, why would you possibly show up for this? You've been tortured, you've been dehydrated, you've been stuck on set for like 12, 14 hours or something like this." And she goes, "Sonny, the worst day filming is better than the best day not filming."
Oh, I love that.
That's what I got to say.
I've never heard that before.
True enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never heard that before, but I love that.
Yeah,
it's true. I mean, it absolutely was the best of times. And part of the reason that I wrote the book about Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is because there was a spirit on that film of, we're going to go forward. We're going to get this thing done. We don't have much time, but we're just going to do it. Right? And everybody that was in it was super young, but at the same time you had people that were just about ready to break out everywhere. People, the number of people who were still working in the business 10 years on and were actually getting awards of one type or another was amazing. I mean, they're left and right. You can't even just say it was, a couple of people. It was like everybody but me. So,
Right. Don't look so sad.
So part of the reason that I wanted to do it is because it was such a positive experience. And this is the thing that everybody said about it. It was an amazing, it was that experience where you went from, being a pretty good amateur to like honing all those skills. And of course, it was a business that you hone those skills right there in front of you. And we had all been playing with all kinds of different stuff for years, and this was that bringing it all together, and people didn't argue, and there weren't a lot of egos. I mean, you got a brand new group of people all together, and Robert doesn't have an ego. He'll work with anybody. He's an amazing human being. And, I mean, Rennie could have had an ego, but how could you tell through that damn accent? So, I mean, it just all pulled together right there.
That's amazing.
Well, there's your promo right there.
There's your promo, yeah. Now, on to my book. Behind the Screams. The story of the making of Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Be there or be square.
Okay.
I'm going to go 4.7.
Yes,
Whoa.
you have to go first.
I'm
Very
sorry.
nice.
Ooh.
I
rated this one
did.
higher than
Like
Dream
I
Warrior.
said, you know what?
Oh, Mick, stop stroking your ego.
Hey, I was there too, damn it.
Well, he was one of the writers.
Just, come on. Give me a break. I like it just because this is going to be weird. For a serial killer, I thought that he had an incredible energy. No,
Wow.
like I said, I
He had a charm.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is the better film, but I like this one better. That's just all there is to it. I love the graphic look of it. I love Andras Jones's performance. I love everybody's performance all the way through. I think Freddy is amazing in this one. I love looking at all the effects. And here's the thing. I probably see more effects in it than anybody else because I know every one of them, And to top it all off, I get to see the church at the end that everybody said that it wasn't going to work. And I love the fact that it fools even me, and I know what I'm doing.
Right.
I mean, it fools everybody. And I look at it and I think, I don't know why. Even I think of it as a complete four-wall, complete set. And I just love that. I love the faces getting torn apart and the fact that it really ends, and there's something about the end that kind of reminds me of Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's something about it that it has that completeness. You know, Raiders of the Lost Ark had a great ending, and so did this, and it had a lot of the elements of Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know the ghosts going around and all the rest of that. Your turn.
Well, I hate to follow that, but let me look at my spreadsheet. I'll see what I gave 3.
Boy, you're impossible.
No, I don't really have a spreadsheet, but I think I gave 3 4.6. And I actually still like that one more. So this one, I did get some points. You guys convinced me a little bit on certain points, and I totally agree that I love the final girl in this one. So I get points there, but then I take points away for the comedy show that Freddy Krueger was doing, the one-liners like the Arnold Schwarzenegger lines, So I'm probably I'm making it sound like I'm going to rate it really low, but I'm probably still in the 4s. So I give like a 4.4, only 0.2 points lower than 3.
That's good.
Which makes me think maybe I should go back and rate 3 higher.
Stop it!
I'm just kidding. Okay, moving on.
I would say for me, 4.5. So it's not as good as Dream Warriors, but it's still definitely one of my favorites. So. I agree with you. The comedy aspect is something that I'm not a fan of, and so that's why I would deduct points. But overall, I think it's, one of the best in the series. So 4.5 for me.
I'm going to give it a 4.7 because I love it as a movie. The fact that he was a little more comedic didn't really bother me as much. I really honestly enjoyed it because I thought it was very thrilling that his personality came through, and a lot of the one-liners I really liked at the time. It wasn't too comedic. It was just right. I think Freddy is quite attractive in the movie.
There's an
Again,
element,
I am sorry for saying that, but
all this, that's kind of
it's true.
Wow.
He's the man of my dreams. I love Alice. I love the deeper themes about growing up and your friends and the people you surround yourself with. I love the music, whether it's the soundtrack or the score. I love the dynamic of the characters, and it's just a very, very fun movie. And while it can be a popcorn flick, I think once you sit down and really analyze Nightmare 4, I think there are a lot of really big, important themes about being a teenager that are also in the film. So 4.7 for me. Love my Dream Master.
What are you up to?
So Elm Street Radio has a huge event. Do you want to talk about it, Diandra?
Sure. Elm Street Radio is in Columbus, Ohio on August 29th. Is going to be hosting a screening for the 30th anniversary of A Nightmare on Elm Street for the Dream Master for its 30th anniversary. There are actually 4 screenings, that Friday, Saturday, and then that Monday. And then that Wednesday, it's like a Freddy Palooza. There's going to be a panel of filmmakers. There are some special offerings from the Film Center. It's at Gateway Film Center at 9:30. Costumes are welcome. There will be nightmare music, some food specials, including pizza. You can dress as anybody from Nightmare or any 80s costume you want. Just come out and have a good time. And all kinds of other special things. So it's on the Elm Street Radio Facebook page. But there's also some exciting stuff going on for Fredhead. So hit them with it, Paige.
Yeah, so that weekend after the Elm Street Radio event, we are filming our largest filming event to date, which is Horror Hound Weekend. And we're super excited. We hired a cinematographer. He'll be there following everybody around. We're taking fan stories again. We've got some really cool, things that we can't talk about. One of them is possibly a Freddy confessional. And so I'm oh my God, I'm so excited for the fans to see what we've built. It's pretty cool. I want so badly to tell you guys what it is. But when you see it, it's so awesome, what they're going to do. But it's just going to be a really fun event. We have a whole bunch of new merch that we're going to be selling. And it really is, it's just going to be a huge, huge event for us. And we're excited to kind of go out with a bang in the convention scene. We've got some other stuff that we have to film. We might pop up at a couple other conventions, but this is like the really big one for Fredheads. And so we're excited. If this comes out before Horror Hound, we're super excited, and we hope everyone comes to it. We want it to be like a really good thing cinematically, and so that's what we're working on. And then from there, you know, we're just kicking ass and taking names on Elm Street Radio.
Mick, what do you have going on?
Yeah, Mick, what are you? Mick, I feel like Nick has enough going on.
Let's see. I have a book coming out called Behind the Screams. It's going to be awesome. It's a graphic tour de force. All the background stories. It's a lot broader than anybody else has done before. If you want to know the nuts and bolts of what happened in one of the most creative and forceful horror films that's ever been made, I believe, you gotta read this book. This is going to be a must-have for every Freddy fan out there, and I think it's going to be necessary for filmmakers.
I feel like it's going to be a game changer, because not only is it a behind the scenes of a film, it's almost going to be like a how to make a film.
I think so. Also, I have to say this. There are a lot of people out there that make books about films. Very rarely, though, do the people that work on them make them. People that I found that would never have been found, that had really, really interesting stuff to say. And I don't think that I would have had that insight into it. For instance, I'll give you an example of, there were only like 30 or 40 people mentioned in the IMDb page about this film, other than the cast. And there were hundreds of people that worked on this film. So I did my best to go out and find as many of those people as I could. I know where the skeletons are buried.
Well played.
Well played. So there you go. That's what I'm doing.
I can't wait to have it in my collection.
Oh, I'm so excited. Mick, is there any way to get a copy of the book and have you sign it? So not just for us, but even other fans who might want you to sign their copy of the book?
As a matter of fact,
he's glad you asked.
I'm glad you asked. By the end of the week, the website behindthescreamsbook.com is going to have copies for sale. You can buy the PDF, you can buy the book, you can have it signed, whatever you want. Also, you could email me at behindthescreamsbook@gmail.com. Kurt, you got anything up?
Oh, I have to read a book called Behind the Screams, and then I'm desperately waiting for Fredheads to come out.
Yes.
Everybody
is. We want to see Fredheads so bad.
But yeah, if anybody has any projects, I'm kind of bored. So. No, I'm just kidding. I'm okay.
Yeah. You know what? I
There
promise.
you go.
I promise to keep him busy.
Oh yeah, we have some exciting stuff that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys crack me up.
Okay, guys. Once again, it has been amazing.
It's been so
Thank
much
you
fun.
very much.
You guys have a great night.
This is Kurt Thomas along with Mick Strawn. Thank you for listening to the Dream Warrior Review. If you have any questions or just have feedback for our show, we welcome them at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com. Of course, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well. As always, please follow us and tell your friends about us too.